We're going to talk about how to use Allegretto from book 1 to help prepare Martini Gavotte. So a reminder about what was important in Allegretto when we first learned it. We had first just started playing on the D string. We wanted to make sure that our fourth fingers were sounding really good and that we had a beautiful sound on the D string and the G string, which were new. We also wanted to think a little bit about where our elbow had to be. It needed to be here for the first time instead of here where the A and the E string are. So when you're playing Allegretto, definitely check that your arm is to the right. This bow arm has to be a little bit higher, but of course the elbow is relaxed. So we talked about all of that in Allegretto. We also had the G string for the first time, so we were really careful. I shouldn't say careful, we were conscientious that we crossed here by moving both arms. And that we got back at the end. So there's definitely coordination in that spot. So you want to first review Allegretto to make sure that you have those things, because in Martini Gavotte there's loads and loads of string crossing. And you want to be really aware of where your elbows need to be on both sides to help make it easier. Another thing about Allegretto that was tricky was the fourth fingers on the D string, because we just started using the fourth finger, so we wanted to make sure that it sounded really good anyway, but putting it on the D string means that you really have to have that elbow there. So in the beginning, that's a little tricky to get a clear sound. I'm not even happy with that one. Good, now I've just rang my A string, so I'm happy. So those are things to think about. The thing that you may not have learned when you did your first learning of Allegretto, but hopefully you've learned at this point, is about the accents. And these are another huge thing in Martini Gavotte, because in Martini we have in the A section, in the theme, which comes back again and again, we have this spot with accents. So that's basically the same as Allegretto, the same bow pattern and the same spot for the accent. So a reminder of how to do your accent. You're trying to get more horizontal action into the bow, meaning you're trying to get the stick closer to the hair so that the weight on the string is a little heavier to add a little bit of extra sound. And that sound is more like a consonant sound, so a t or a k, rather than the usual ah kind of beginning of a note that we've got. So a note with an accent will sound, and a note without an accent will sound. Okay? So the way that we talk about doing accents in Suzuki is applying some thumb action to the bow. So basically, normally we're supporting the bow a bit with the thumb and we're hugging with all the fingers, and we're just going to kind of hug the bow more with the thumb, so doing what some people like to call a thumb pinch. And of course you don't just pinch the bow up because then it would just go up, but you can see that applies a little bit of up and down motion, vertical motion to the bow to create that accent. These fingers counteract that. So we're using those three fingers to use to do the accent, and of course hugging with the other two. So everybody's engaged and really feeling the bow. All right, so we're going to do a few exercises. The first is just to do a long bow with an accent at the beginning. So make sure that you hug the bow, use your thumb when you start, but immediately release, otherwise you'll get this sound, which isn't very nice. So as soon as your arm starts pulling the bow down, you release that hand and just go back to regular bow holding. So you'll just do a few until you're really happy. And then do twinkle. And notice that I've done that with a stop, a very clear stop, so that I can re-engage my thumb and re-engage the string before I play each note. Then you try this twinkle. So I'm grabbing that before every long bow, and then you try it in Allegretto. And then you try it a little faster to help Martini. So when you get to Martini, you can play A Twinkle to Prepare. You could also be very good to start on G. And then when you learn the section A bit, you're going to use that bowing pattern. Making sure there, of course, to go more, less, which we'll talk about in the Martini video. All right, happy practicing.